Welcome to Super Secret HQ, Episode 7. My name is Josh Lagern. I am joined, as always, by Evan Swords. We have been away the last couple of weeks, but we are back to deliver our thoughts and reviews on the latest Marvel Studios film, Thunderbolts, *, which we will talk about in the midst of the show. But yeah, Evan, how are you doing, man? How are things going?
Yeah, things are going well, man. Work's going well. Life's going well. Just, I think both of us have been very busy, which is
Yep.
obviously a good thing. Uh, yeah, man, how you been?
I've been good, dude. Just chilling, watching the Warriors. I'm repping the Warriors. Of course, Evan and I share 49ers fandom, but have different NBA teams. I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. Kind of a bandwagon jumper. I'm going to be honest. I grew up in the Central Valley in Northern California. So back in the 2000s, I'll be honest, I was rooting for the Sacramento Kings because they were good back then. And then when the Warriors got good in the 2010s, it's not too big of a leap. They're 90 minutes apart, but yeah, it was good to see them win yesterday. We're going to round 2 of the playoffs, so it'll be fun to watch Steph and crew. Hopefully, be able to clean up. But yeah, man, things are going well as well. Yep, had just some things pop up over the last month, but we're back. So here we're talking about Thunderbolts. So both you and I saw it. I saw it Thursday night. I think you saw it over the weekend. I think we both really enjoyed it. But I'll let you start with your overall feelings about Thunderbolts.
I mean, I'm not saying pleasantly surprised. Maybe that's the right word, but I'm just happy. I think when I think about what makes me enjoy Marvel movies and hasn't made me enjoy, movies in general, right? Like, I love movies that make me feel something. I love movies that make me like leave the movie theater motivated to be a better person, or just being like high on empathy or caring about others. Like I think about like my favorite things on the planet are like just little interactions with human beings throughout the day, whether it's at the gas station or ordering food or whatever. And like I feel like this just is truly synthesized into like the human experience in so many good ways. And so I am glad that Marvel made another awesome superhero movie where people are punching and fighting and looks super cool, and it did all that, and I really did like that. But it was really great to get back to, you think of like Captain America and Bucky, right? When he's like, I won't fight you. I'm here with you till the end of the line, right? Or when you think about, Natasha Romanoff jumping off and beating Clint, Hawkeye to save him so that she could sacrifice herself. Like all of those little moments where you're like, man, I see how much, like I love that. Not to ramble. So I really enjoyed this movie. I was not expecting this to be the movie to do that. But yeah, man, we could talk about it. I was a huge fan. I'm like 9 out of 10. I think it was so close to a perfect movie.
Yeah, I mean when they announced Thunderbolts and then they announced the lineup, I think all of us were left collectively scratching our heads
Yeah.
because typically Thunderbolts is made up of anti-heroes and villains in the Marvel universe. It's kind of like it's not this, but it's often compared to the Suicide Squad on the DC side, and that's so when they announced the lineup, and it was pretty much all super soldiers, and it's like Yelena, Bucky, Red Guardian, all of these characters that have been presented in a heroic light. So that was like, and they're all super soldiers, and so first and like agents, and it kind of first of all it leaves you like scratching your head, but then it just didn't seem like this was going to be a great movie. It seemed like Marvel's struggles were going to continue with this. And then, we kind of got glimpses of it. There were things that came out. There were a couple of great trailers. And, people began to think, like, is this going to be a great Marvel movie? Like, is this going to be an awesome time? Is this going to be like a redemption moment for Marvel? And, what I will say is this, is I think in the context of where we are today, this is one of the strongest Marvel releases post Endgame. It's right up there, in my opinion, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, the stronger movies that Marvel has put out in recent years. And it's just great. It's great to have a movie that we can all connect on and connect with. And it is a great movie because of what you mentioned. And it's why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider-Man No Way Home are also good. And it's because they take the sort of action and adventure of a Marvel movie, but they pair it with very personal, emotional narratives and stories. And I think that's what really makes this movie great. And, it's really, I think one of the interesting things is, like, the best Marvel movies have themes, right? James Gunn's Guardians movies are all about family. Spider-Man No Way Home is all about, like, the hero's journey and finding yourself, Peter Parker's hero's journey, basically. And what's really interesting to me is that this might be the first Marvel movie about imposter syndrome. It's like a bunch of people who are, like, really not sure of their place in this wider universe of these amazing superheroes. And yet somehow they end up together on this team and do something really heroic and great together. And it's just an awesome film from that perspective. So I really enjoyed it as well. It's one of the few Marvel movies where I'm like, I want to go see it again. Like, I want to go catch it on IMAX, But yeah, man, I really liked it. Did you have a favorite thing about the movie? Like, what was your favorite thing? Could be favorite scene, could be favorite pairing.
Yelena.
Like, oh yeah. Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I mean, she is Julia Louis-Dreyfus said it herself. Like, she is a star. And I mean that in, like, the traditional Hollywood movie star. She is just so engrossing. Everything she does, like, every moment, every word, every decision that she does in movies, I'm just always all in.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, was it like In Time or something? The movie she did with Andrew Garfield, which was like a very low budget, just movie where not a whole lot happens. It's just like just acting. They're acting their ass off. Or whether it's a giant blockbuster like this, she's just incredible. And I loved her entire approach to being, like the things you mentioned, right? Like, not really sure who she is, or not, again, we'll talk about it, I think, as a whole, but like the way that they talk about anxiety and insecurity and depression, and the way she conveys depression is something that you just don't see a lot. And I think it's something that everyone can really, like, understand and, like, kind of like equate that, their own personal experience too. So it was just incredible to see her do her thing. I could watch her like paint a wall. She's incredible.
Yeah, let's touch on that a little bit, because I think that brings up a really interesting point. What was really interesting to me about the way that the film portrayed depression and what Florence Pugh did, and by the way, I agree with you, Florence Pugh is the standout of this film. She's absolutely terrific, gives a great performance. It's subtle, it's got nuance, she's just great. And I love Scarlett Johansson. I loved her as Black Widow. I thought that she was great, but I think that Yelena is actually a better character. She's one of the few, second generation characters that's better than the original. Not that they have to be compared; they're both great. But Yelena is just a stronger character, in my opinion. What was really interesting to me about the way that they portrayed depression is, oftentimes in film, depression can be portrayed in very, very extreme ways, right? Like people who are in very, very dark places, in very, very like deep, deep, deep depression. But what was interesting to me about the way that they portrayed it in this film and Pugh's performance is she portrayed depression as boredom. She's just really bored with her life, and she's really bored with what she's doing, even though she's like this undercover agent, like getting to do these, trotting across the globe, carrying out these clandestine missions. She's depressed. She's down. She doesn't have family anymore, and it's kind of expressing itself in this like boredom, And I thought that was really interesting, and Pugh makes it a really, really compelling character arc for Yelena, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it was great. The way the clinical psychosis from the side of Bob and the Sentry, like that kind of like manic schizophrenia, the depression aspect of it, like. Again, like I don't want to sit here and like drone on about they're showing depression was made so good, but like really, like that was incredible. I mean, It was so great because it was like you can empathize with it, right? You can understand it. You've experienced it in your own life. But then she's also jumping off the second tallest building in the world, and like the scenes are just great. Like I feel like so much of that movie was like the best parts of other movies, like. When they're in the void, right, and Yelena is doing like triple backflips, cork twists over like furniture getting thrown at her. It reminded me of Mysterio in Spider-Man Far From Home, and it was just like that reminded me of that. I thought that was really cool. Like the Winter Soldier scene was so incredible. Like they just gave like obviously spoilers. Taskmaster died aggressively fast.
Yes.
But like the 4 seconds that they gave Taskmaster to shine,
yep.
She was like, I was like thoroughly impressed. She's beating the shit out of people. I was like, oh, okay, this is so much better than what we saw last time, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they really just let every character shine. And on top of that, like not just a Marvel movie. This was one of the best shot movies I've watched in a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Cinematography standpoint, from a lighting standpoint, from a visual standpoint, like visual storytelling, like it was incredible.
It was great. And it was, I know that the director went to great lengths to do as many of the effects as practically as he could.
Right.
And man, does it make such a difference. It makes such a huge difference to do practical effects. Because I feel like sometimes in these Marvel movies, a lot of it feels very weightless. Sometimes it feels very thin. Like it just doesn't feel real because it's so CGI, And in doing those practical effects and then letting the CGI kind of supplement, it made it feel a little bit more real. And that was, I felt like that was great. Yeah. So yeah, man. I agree. I think that, the Winter Soldier scene also recalled for me Terminator 2.
100%.
Yeah, it was very much like Bucky is now I want to see Sebastian Stan in a Terminator movie.
I mean, let's be real quick. That was not a coincidence. That was like shot for shot. Like even the way he flipped the shotgun was identical. Like they were just like, I'm sure they were like, this kind of reminds me of Terminator, and they were like, let's just lean into it.
Yeah.
No, that was it. Yeah, that was awesome. Seeing again, yeah, the way they showed Bucky was great. I am curious about your kind of opinion, because I said it was almost a perfect movie. I rated it 9 out of 10.
Yep.
I thought the middle of the movie really did get dragged on just a bit too long. Did you notice that?
Yep.
Going from like this. By the way, does Marvel love secret bases in the middle?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had no issue with it, but I just think it's so funny how often they're going to a secret base where no one knows where it is. but that part, like from that to the Sentry, like breaking, kind of breaking free and him going up in the air, and Valentina and all of that to the desert to driving back. Like I was like, okay, like hurry up, come on,
Yeah.
let's not lose the momentum a little bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that as well, and kind of a feeling of not having. I'd be curious to see how I feel in the second viewing, because definitely in the first viewing, in the second act, it was a little bit like, okay, where it seemed like the writers maybe didn't know how to get from A to B. There was a little bit of like confusion there, which is fine, but what was really smart about the way that it was written is it could have very easily felt like what happened was unearned. Everything that transpired and leads up to the crescendo, which we'll talk about very soon. But it could have felt very unearned because of how like quickly everything happens. But because of the structure of the story and the nature of how it happens, it works. It works super well. And it was and it really, they did a really good job. And I think we can just spoil it now. They become the new Avengers at the end of the movie. And the new Avengers, for people who don't know, is actually it's a separate group from the actual core Avengers. And it's like that in the comics too. There are two teams. There's the new Avengers and the Avengers. But what I thought was so cool was just, I was like, in the third act, before they revealed that, I was like, this is super heroic. These characters are being like insanely heroic.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done, how they set that up.
It was interesting though that like we don't necessarily expect it to be shot for shot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like the original New Avengers, not one of them. Like
Yep.
not one of them. Now there are, the New Avengers at the end of like the first volume. I think because it was Michael Bendis was the guy who wrote the comics.
Yep.
Like eventually that had is it Mockingbird?
Mm.
I'm pretty sure, is it, or is it Songbird? Either way, Valentina's assistant is going. They kind of already said, the director said out loud that who we think it is going to be that. It's going to be some superhero. But like other than that, like they just kind of used the name.
Yeah.
And I will say I understand the spectacle of it all and all that, but like I feel like everyone's response to that end credit scene and the Fantastic Four end credit scene, like I didn't really get it. Like,
Yeah.
sure, okay, like you're called the New Avengers and they're called the Avengers. Like, I don't really care. I mean, that does nothing for me. I
Yep.
understand, but like, what? Okay, and then like the Fantastic Four is obviously the big reveal of like, oh, they're in the MCU, but it's like, why would you ruin? It's like, I mean, like you're just kind of ruining how Fantastic Four is going to end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've already kind of believed it was going to end up being, Galactus comes, Silver Surfer comes down, says your world is going to get destroyed. You have a year.
Yep.
I mean, you see in the trailers of Fantastic Four and stuff, they're like talking like, they're working with the military. They're talking about, we're going to save you, blah, blah, blah. Like, so clearly that was kind of like how I was expecting it to go. And then they show the ship at, coming into the MCU, and it just seems so very obvious that it's like Galactus is going to come, destroy the planet, and they're going to get out last second to try and fight and live to fight another day.
Yep.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, it was an odd choice, and it was also very obvious that the Russos directed that scene. In my opinion, it's just such a departure from the actual Thunderbolts film itself, in style. And then I later discovered that the director didn't direct that scene; it was the Russos. And so I don't even know if he necessarily would have revealed all of that. And I don't know how Matt Shackman is going to respond to them, ruining part of his movie. But we'll have to see how it all plays out. It's going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. I was thinking about it. I was like, the end scene takes place in New York City. Yeah, because you talked about the roster not being the original New Avengers. The end scene takes place in New York City. It wouldn't have been very difficult for them to drop, and it would have been like kind of a fun surprise for them to drop Spider-Man and Luke Cage in there.
I mean,
and
yeah.
and then you have like at least two members of the comics New Avengers that are a part of the New Avengers team, you know?
That was
So
kind of my thing too. Like
mm,
when I was thinking of like these end credit scenes, it would have been so much cooler for, like, for just to be like them in the watchtower, or at the end, or maybe it like literally just in the middle of the street with all the rubble around, and having Luke Cage just walk up and be like, "The hell just happened?" You know, and it's
yeah.
like, oh, or even Spider-Man swinging in and be like, "Oh my God, guys, I was just sitting in my room, then all of a sudden everything went black, and then when I went, but you know, like doing like what the Spider-Man, you know, the character does, like."
Yeah.
And obviously you have the Sony stuff. Like, God, Marvel's just gotta buy Sony.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
they
Sony
should.
Pictures.
They should they should at least off they should just give Sony like $4 billion and get Spider-Man back and call it a day. They'll make it back. They'll make it back eventually, you know? Um but yeah, man. But yeah, I really liked it a lot. What did you think of Bob Sentry the Void? What did you think of that character?
Well, I loved how they approached it. What I would say is, I don't like the Sentry as a comic book character.
Uh-huh.
I really don't like when you have some all-powerful being that has some kind of insanely powerful nerf in
Mm-hmm.
it, where it's like, oh, you know, it would be like, oh, Superman, but everywhere you go, there's kryptonite. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really like, I like the story that they did, and I like the acting that, you know, he portrayed as. I like the
Lewis
different
Pullman.
characters. It was almost like Moon Knight esque in the
Yep.
different, you know, personalities and stuff. I thought he did a fantastic job. I thought the Void was very creepy and did a really
Mm-hmm.
good job having just the pinhole eyes with an all black. Like, I thought it was a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I really don't. I'm just personally like, I don't like having this giantly powerful, all powerful character, and it's just like, all at any given point he can just be taken out of the fight because he mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I understand the point of like the comic book character, where it was like, Superman's so boring, like we don't, you know, what it's not fair, blah blah blah. But like, I just think that's like going too far the opposite direction. Like,
Yeah.
we'll see how it's used in the movies. I thought they did a really good job in this,
Mm.
but like, you know, I saw someone talk about this, and it's a very good point. The Russo brothers do not know how to handle very powerful characters, right?
No.
Basically,
Mm.
Captain Marvel was nowhere to be found in
Mm-hmm.
any of the movies, right? Hulk, you know, famously got nerfed into the ground by being Professor Hulk and then losing his arm. And it's just like very obvious that they don't know what to do with really strong characters.
Yeah.
And so now I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, well, they're going to be directing the next Avengers movie. Like, what are they going to do with the Sentry? Like, is it like, is Doctor Doom just going to immediately be like, you have depression? And like,
Yeah.
it's just, and then all of a sudden he turns into the Void. Like, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. 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 I really liked Lewis Pullman's performance in this. I thought that he played the character really well. He's a very likable, charming actor, I think. It was hilarious to me to see all the people on Twitter going like unironically saying, "Hey, you know the Sentry Bob or the Sentry really looks like the president from Independence Day," you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
like that's his dad,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know.
You're never going to believe this.
Yeah. But yeah, but he did a really I thought he did a really good job in this movie. And yeah, like you said, I thought that he handled like the depression aspect, the connection with Yelena, which by the way, I think both you and I responded to this tweet. There's this tweet flying around this weekend that is like, I only want to see Bob and Yelena as have a sibling like relationship. And I was like, you know what? Let's have these comic book characters hook up. Okay.
I don't even care about the having like hook up, whatever. Like they like palpably had like incredible chemistry on
Yeah.
screen. So why
Yep.
like from a narrative standpoint, that
Yep.
was like incredible. They were so great together. Why would you not want to like again, it's like having Steph Curry and being like, can you just stay in the paint?
Yeah.
Like why would you not take advantage of it?
Yeah, yeah. No, they
So
had awesome chemistry. We need romance in superhero movies. That's what I would say. We need more romance in superhero movies. Imagine if Lois Lane and Clark Kent were just friends. It would you would ruin a quarter of the Superman movie. Wouldn't be good.
yeah.
Um, um, I think one of the interesting things, there was this trailer that came out, and it was like from the studio that brought you, and it was like all of the or from the film from the director of, and it was like, you know, some indie movie, some A24 movie, and then it was like the cinematographer of, and it was some other A24 movie, and it seemed like, you know, Marvel has their little like themes that they do for movies, and for a minute, it seemed like they were going to do like, this is the Marvel version of an A24 movie. And I don't think that's what this was, but I don't know how you feel about that. I was
Well,
like,
I mean, did you see the director what he said?
what? No, I didn't.
They literally, I mean, this clip came out like an hour and a half ago or 2 hours ago or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But someone interviewed him, was like, you know, hey, you know, the A24, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to ask like a really like thoughtful question. And he was like, that was just a joke. He was literally
Yeah.
like, he was like, we meant that as a joke. We just thought it was funny how we had a bunch of people from A24 on here. So we just meant it as like a joke. But like
Yeah.
people really took it serious. Oh, they're really going to try and they're going to make this art, you know, art house. And he was like, no, it was just a joke. Like
Yeah.
he seems very like self-aware and not serious about himself. He just thought, I think, you know, whatever. And for that, I think it's hilarious. But I mean, at the same time, give them credit where it's due. Like
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
really did film the shit out of that movie.
They did. They did. It looked terrific. And you know, like we've just been talking about, has been the theme of our reviews. There was a lot more under there, under the surface, than just, you know, your typical superhero fare. So, pretty good. Um, what do you think? Like, now we kind of have a clear picture for going into Doomsday. We're gonna have Sam Wilson's kind of. We're you know, Fantastic Four is probably going to give us a little bit more. Um, I personally think it would have been helpful to have a regular Avengers movie between now and Doomsday. But you know, to kind of establish like Sam Wilson's team, you know, and what that looks like. Because I think you're not alone in being confused by that end credit scene. You know, like, what, Sam Wilson has a team of Avengers, like, and they're not the new Avengers. Like, what's going on? You know. Um, but yeah, do you have any thoughts about what this means for Doomsday or Secret Wars? Like, or is it just like, what do you think?
I just I mean, I don't look at this as these are the two teams that are going to fight each other. Like
Yeah.
I don't see that. I can't stress this enough. I think no difference than the A24 stuff in the trailers. I think calling it the new Avengers was like a joke. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
meant to be like a joke. Like we are the new Avengers, but like asterisk Thunderbirds, like or Thunderbolts. I don't think it's meant to be some like, you know, this is what's going to happen. I think it's just meant like as like a funny thing, like, oh, let's call it the Thunderbolts, but you know, we'll make a joke about how like, you know, the Red Guardian really wants to be, you know, on a Wheaties box and be the next
Yeah.
Avenger and have, you know, like uh he had like sponsors on his jacket, right? Like he was riding in NASCAR or something like that.
AM PM,
Yeah.
and that was hilarious. That
So
was really funny.
I really just think that's what it was. It was like we are the new Avengers, but it like no, you're not. You're
Yeah.
Bob. It's us and Bob.
Yeah.
You know, he did the dishes. I
Yeah.
just think it was fun. I thought it was a fun little thing, and I thought, you know, I still think that like we're probably pretty far away from really having a good sense of what's going to happen in Doomsday.
Mm, yep. Yep. Well, we'll have to stay tuned for that. It's going to be really interesting. We've got one more movie between then and now is Fantastic Four, and that's it, right? And then
We got
we
some
wait for.
TV shows that nobody cares about, but really
That's
they're
right. That's right. That's
like
right.
Ironheart's coming out, I think, next month, and literally nothing has been shown about it.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even realize that it was coming out next
A
month.
lot of
That's
people are
crazy.
talking about how they think they're just trying to like they're just because the report came out that Kevin Feige, which we probably should be talking about anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Well, why don't we talk a little bit about that? I haven't actually read that article yet, but why don't you lead the conversation? I'll react. I'll react to
I
you
mean, it's not.
talking about it.
It's not like okay. So first and foremost, it got taken like really overblown. Obviously, like everything in the world does.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like them just being like, oh my god, but like what he was trying to say overall is just straight up one, we don't want it to be like feel like homework every time you watch a new movie. Like
Yeah.
we want these movies to be more solo rather than some big entertainment whatever. And I think he understands that. The big pieces in the Wall Street Journal article though came from like him saying that like it felt like a lot of people would be like trying to get a hold of him, and like MCU employees said sometimes they spent weeks on work that proved irrelevant once Feige weighed in, and then found themselves with little time to implement his changes before a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Marvel decided to cut back on how many television series are being produced, while a senior executive is now overseeing television so Feige can focus on film.
Yeah.
I'm really just surprised that like I don't understand like if Feige is that important to the narrative, like why is this not being like I feel like I'm not talking like engineering, like why are we not requirements gathering? Like why are we not writing this shit down? Like, okay, bro, what do you want to do? How are we gonna do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, why is there not like a standard operating procedure for this? But either
Mm-hmm.
way, to me, it just kind of came across as like they're saying, "Hey, we're tightening things up. We got a little out of hand with all of these TV shows." It sounded like Disney was really pushing like, let's increase our audience. Let's have a more diverse cast. Not for the sake of diversity, because Disney is only about money,
Mm-hmm.
but right, just wanting to expand the audience so that they can make more money. And I think Feige is just like reeling that back a little bit just to focus on quality and narrative. And, it's so far, it looks good. Now, I will say, I don't think people realize most recent MCU. I was looking at stuff lately. Like, let's go. Okay. Here's the last movies that we've seen in the MCU. Thunderbolts,
Mm-hmm.
Captain America Brave New World, Deadpool and Wolverine, The Marvels, which is wildly underrated.
I agree.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Which is probably one of the best ones, maybe the best.
top 3 Marvel period.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had Ant-Man was trash. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then it was Wakanda Forever, which is fantastic. Love
Mm-hmm.
and Thunder was trash. Doctor Strange was trash. No Way Home was incredible. And before that was Eternals, which I think people are really just starting to realize now that the Eternals was really a good movie.
Yeah.
People just
Mm-hmm.
weren't ready for someone actually trying to make a beautiful film. Anyways, when you look back, the Marvel's been on a heater lately,
Yeah.
but it's because Ant-Man and Thor and Doctor Strange were so bad that I think people really just don't realize that. But
And
like
and those are like key flagship characters too. That's the thing. It's like
also
that
Shang-Chi, like Black Widow was a good movie.
it was. It was a good movie. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And
so, like
Shang-Chi was a good movie too. Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
really when you think about it, let's go as far back as the good movies. Would you say Infinity, Black Panther, Ragnarok, okay. Homecoming a good movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got Homecoming, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I enjoyed it. It wasn't
Yeah, I
great.
liked it too.
But I liked it. Marvel was a good film. Fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Endgame. Then you have Far From Home, fantastic.
Yep.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home. Then
Mm-hmm.
you had two movies that were bad in Thor and Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Then Wakanda Forever's great. One movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the last five movies have been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I think now that we've had a little bit of time to get away from how bad Doctor Strange and how Multiverse of Madness and how bad Love and Thunder was and how bad Quantum Mania was, and by all means, they were god awful. Someone should
Yeah.
be in jail for that. I think we have to take a step back and realize that Marvel is still that dude. It is still the LeBron James on the court. It is still the Patrick Mahomes on the field. They are the GOAT. And we just, we needed to get a little bit further away from the bad movies that have happened recently to look and go, oh, they've been on a heater.
Yeah, yeah, and we're about to witness. I think we're about to witness something very special with Doomsday and Secret Wars, because it's really taking what they did with Infinity War and Endgame to a whole nother level, because now this is all of Marvel. This is X-Men, this is Blade, this is, all of the things that they did, all the different Spider-Men that they've had over the years. It's culminating in this Avengers Doomsday, Avengers Secret War, finale, as it were. And then I think we get a rebooted whether it's soft rebooted or completely rebooted MCU. But it's, we get this incredible finale, and that's something that we're going to be able to to be able to say we lived through, from a cinematic history. Like it's pretty awesome.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in good hands. I think the future of the MCU looks good.
Yeah.
If they do Sentry right, I think we're like in a good situation.
Yep.
Yeah, I do.
And then post Secret Wars, they have, whatever happens, whether it's a soft reboot or a full reboot, I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to have all the Avengers characters. They're going to have the Fantastic Four. They're going to have Spider-Man. They're going to have the X-Men now. And this is going to be the first time they're going to be able to build out like whatever the new MCU looks like, with all of these characters living together in the same universe. Mm-hmm. So even from that perspective, that's going to be new. That's going to be something new feeling, because they've never been able to do that before. So it'll be really interesting to see. Really quick, while I've got you on the thing, we'll do a full episode once all the episodes have come out. But I wanted to get your thoughts about Andor. I've watched the first 6 episodes. Season 1, I'm going to be really honest with you. So first of all, season one took me like 3 or 4 episodes to really get into it. I think it took me like 2 months to watch those first 4 episodes, just because it's such a departure from what they've done before with Star Wars. It's very adult feeling, and it's like a different headspace, right? Yeah, what are your thoughts? First of all, we've never talked about Andor before. So what are your thoughts on season 1? And then we can just briefly talk about season 2, what we think of it so far.
Yeah. Andor season 1 is the best thing that Star Wars has ever created.
Yep.
I think it's like open and shut case. It is number 1 on my list. I know a lot of people want to talk about New Hope and the beginning movies and trilogies and stuff like that, but to me, Andor is so far above everything else in terms of acting, story, filming, like emotion, like depth, all of it is just it's perfect. It was perfect. To this day, I don't know if I think my favorite monologue has to be Skarsgård talking about what have I sacrificed. It is just perfect. So I actually haven't watched the newest episode of Andor yet, or the newest batch. It just came out, but the first 2 episodes, they look beautiful. They're right. I'm right back in the pocket. Really enjoying it. I'm just very happy that it's here.
I think what's brilliant about Andor is they take the Star Wars universe and they tell a very adult story. Bo Willimon is one of the writers. He wrote House of Cards. He is like a really incredible writer. And then of course they have Tony Gilroy on the show. The things that they do are just so clever. And the narratives that they weave are so clever. And it's actually underselling the show, in my opinion, to call it Andor. Cassian Andor is the lead character in the show, unquestionably. But to me, the show is really about the rebellion. It's about the birth of the rebellion in the Star Wars universe. And it's so well done. Papa Skarsgård, Stellan Skarsgård, right, is his name. He is fantastic in the show. Genevieve Riley, who plays Mon Mothma, is fantastic in the show. I mean, they intersect with each other, but they kind of lead their respective storylines, and they're just great. And we get to see this real, so the second season is great so far, and I love particularly. I'm excited for you to watch the second batch of episodes, because it's like they took the original idea. Obviously, the Empire is like based on Nazi Germany, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Vietnam War kind of Nazi Germany, but
yeah. And what's really cool is they kind of like do allusions to the resistance things that build up in the Second World War, and in the second set of episodes, it's very heavily influenced by the French resistance during the Second World War, down to like their costumes. It's really like it could have been so cheesy, but the way that they executed, it's so well done and so perfectly executed. Diego Luna is fantastic in the show. He just is like a leading man through and through, and carries it well. So I'm excited to see the rest of the series. And what's really interesting, Evan, you'll notice this too, is like they're releasing these episodes in batches of 3, and it seems like they're telling stories. They're going to tell like 4 different stories. I mean, it's obviously one giant story, but they're going to tell like 4 mini stories within that story, within the space of each set of 3 episodes. So it's kind of cool. You get like a complete narrative every 3 episodes, which is kind of cool. And then obviously the build up to, Rogue One. And what's going to be great is you're going to have Andor season 1, Andor season 2, and you're going to have Rogue One as like a trilogy that you can watch start to finish, that kind of showcase the birth of the rebellion in the Star Wars universe. And I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's just why it's hard to compare, these things to like the old movies and stuff, because they've had so much time and energy and, space to build on the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't compare Rogue One or Andor to to A New Hope, because there's so much triage and trial and error and trying things. There's also, over 2 decades of going, oh, that's what we shouldn't do. Right. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much there. So it's like, when I say that Andor is the best property that Star Wars has ever done, I also think that comes off of the back of going, okay, let's look at how we made mistakes in the first trilogy. Let's see how we made mistakes in the second trilogy. Let's see how we made mistakes in the third trilogy. And to realize, like, we've been telling Skywalker stories for 3 decades now, but like, there's so much more depth there. Let's talk about the rebellion. Let's talk about what it would actually be like if everyday people were trying to fight back against this insurmountable force. Right?
Yeah.
What would that look like? How would they do it? And I mean, it's an incredible decision.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's interesting because it rejects George Lucas's premise that Star Wars is for kids. It's like, what if we threw that out? What if we made Star Wars for adults? And I think that's what's really interesting about Andor is like, it's the first real adult feeling Star Wars property, and I think that's to its great benefit. And like you said, it's like it's among the best, that they've ever produced. It's so good. So I'm really enjoying the second season. Looking forward to it. We'll probably do a full episode where we like dive in deeper, but just wanted to get your thoughts on it so far. And yeah, we've still got to do an episode where we talk about Daredevil Born Again as a whole, and how that series, the first season of that series ended. So we'll do that probably in the next couple weeks. But any other thoughts on anything, Evan, before we sign out?
Yeah, not a lot, man. I'm just glad that Marvel is back. I don't know if it actually ever really left at this point, but like, I'm very happy with the direction of Marvel, and I'm very glad to have been able to see it. I listen. My girlfriend hates Marvel movies. She wants nothing to do with them, even remotely. And I came home. I was like, we're going to see it. There's nothing you can do to stop me. I will take you like an old like cartoon villain. I will tie you up with rope and put tape over your mouth and sit you down in that theater and make you watch it, because I know she's gonna really like it.
Yeah,
I really think she's gonna love it. So
yeah,
very excited to go see it again.
nice. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go catch a showing in IMAX, because I really want to see it again. And yeah, it's a great movie. Oh, hey, really quick, while I have you on the thing, did you watch Sinners by any chance?
Yeah, it was a perfect movie.
It was great. We should do an episode on Sinners.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. Michael B. Jordan was incredible. Another reminder is that Hollywood needs to do a better job of recognizing when someone has like life-changing, world-breaking talent,
Yeah.
and just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Ryan Coogler, whatever you want to do, brother.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he is a generational talent, and I think that he aspires to be a generational talent, and I think that he works very hard for it. So and that was on full display with Sinners. So we should do an episode on Sinners too. So maybe we'll do Daredevil, Sinners, and then do Andor once it's finished in the next few weeks. So
very, very down.
Okay, awesome. All right, Evan. Well, great show. And yeah, make sure I always forget to do this. But if you are watching and you want to hear more from us and you want to see us in your feed, make sure to like and subscribe this video. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Or else.
Or else. Like and subscribe or else.
All right. Cheers, man.
Cheers.